Hey, Raiders fans, we're diving into some of the most intriguing chatter surrounding the Las Vegas Raiders. And this week has been absolutely buzzing with potential moves and trade scenarios. The silver and black have been in the spotlight lately, and it's not just because of on-field struggles or a 2-6 record. There's a sense that the Raiders are quietly positioning themselves in ways that could surprise the league. You see, when you look at most teams with a record like theirs, the assumption is that they'll be sellers at the trade deadline, looking to offload veterans and recoup draft capital. But the whispers coming from multiple sources suggest that the Raiders might actually be in a different mindset. Instead of unloading pieces, there's evidence to suggest they might be actively shopping for the right additions, aiming to bolster certain positions while keeping an eye on the bigger picture for the upcoming seasons. One of the names that has been at the center of speculation is Malcolm Koonce. The Raiders brought him back this offseason on a one-year deal reportedly worth $12 million, which indicated a clear intent to leverage his experience and skill set. Unfortunately, injuries and other factors have hampered his performance this year, and there's a growing sense that his impact has been limited compared to expectations. Reports indicate that he could be available at the deadline, since he is in the final year of his contract and set to enter free agency next season. For a team like the Raiders, it makes strategic sense to explore potential trades if the right offer comes along. The challenge is determining what his true market value is. Looking at similar trades around the league, edge rushers like Jalen Phillips were moved for a third-round pick, which sets a precedent for the type of return a player like Koonce might command. If a team is willing to take on his contract, even a late-round pick swap could be on the table, offering the Raiders some flexibility and potential draft assets while freeing up future cap space. Beyond Koonce, Jackson Powers-Johnson has emerged in conversations about possible moves, particularly because of his desire to play center and frustration with current coaching decisions. JPJ sees himself as the top option at that position, and there's a sense that the Raiders' current scheme and usage might not fully capitalize on his talents. While there's interest from multiple teams in securing a reliable interior offensive lineman, the Raiders have to weigh whether moving him aligns with their long-term plan, especially considering the value of continuity on the offensive line. This situation is complicated because JPJ's potential trade value is high, yet there's also a clear desire from the organization to maintain stability for the quarterback and the offensive scheme. The conversations surrounding JPJ highlight a tension between short-term trade opportunities and the long-term vision for the roster. Another player generating buzz is Jakobi Meyers, who has drawn interest from teams willing to meet steep trade requirements. While the Raiders are reportedly open to offers, they are prioritizing day 2 draft picks in return, which sets a high bar. Meyers' role in the offense, particularly in complementing Geno Smith's skill set, makes him a valuable asset that the organization is hesitant to part with unless the right price is met. The intrigue lies in balancing the market value of a player eager for a change of scenery with the strategic advantages of keeping him within the team's framework. Only certain teams, those willing to stretch their resources, might even consider meeting the asking price, which makes Meyers' situation a delicate chess match for Raiders management. While rumors swirl, there are also key figures who are reportedly untouchable, reinforcing the idea that the Raiders are being deliberate rather than reactive. Maxx Crosby is one of those players whose presence in Las Vegas is non-negotiable. Multiple teams have expressed interest, but Crosby's commitment to finishing his career with the Raiders, combined with the team's high asking price for him, essentially removes him from the trade conversation. This underscores a broader theme within the organization. Some players are foundational, and no amount of external interest will alter that reality. Similarly, Michael Mayer, a former first-round talent who developed under the Raiders system, is another player the team is reluctant to trade despite external inquiries. Meyers' presence provides both continuity and potential upside, especially as injuries elsewhere around the league create opportunities for other teams to make aggressive calls. Eric Stokes is also in that untouchable category, even though he is on a one-year deal and approaching free agency in 2026. The Raiders' stance seems clear. They value what he brings to the field enough to either extend him or retain him without entertaining trades. This approach demonstrates that while the Raiders are exploring certain market opportunities, they're simultaneously safeguarding core pieces that define their identity on the field. Each move, potential or actual, is a calculated decision rather than a knee-jerk reaction, reflecting a strategic philosophy that blends roster flexibility with long-term planning. When considering trade possibilities, the Raiders are clearly weighing multiple factors: player performance, contract status, market interest, and how each move impacts team chemistry. The approach is nuanced, avoiding the extremes of selling off veterans for minimal return or making a splash trade that disrupts the locker room. Even within the edge rusher market, where players like Koonce, Phillips, Chubb, and others have drawn attention, the Raiders are navigating a complex landscape. Offers must meet both tangible and intangible criteria, accounting for draft capital, cap implications, and future roster building. Each potential transaction involves strategic evaluation, balancing immediate gain with sustained competitiveness. At the same time, Raiders fans are deeply engaged in this process, providing their own perspectives and fueling discussion across platforms. The culture around trade speculation creates a dynamic where fan input and sentiment are part of the narrative, even if indirectly. Discussions about potential moves like Malcolm Kounce for a late-round pick or the valuation of Jakobi Meyers illustrate how fans are actively analyzing team strategy. This level of engagement shows the symbiotic relationship between the organization's decision-making and the community's desire to understand and influence the story. Raiders Nation remains invested in every rumor, every trade consideration, and every report because it feels like an extension of their passion for the team. In summary, the Raiders' approach to the trade deadline is far from typical. While their record might suggest a team ready to offload pieces, the reality is more intricate. With certain players like Maxx Crosby, Michael Mayer, and Eric Stokes effectively untouchable, and others like Malcolm Kounce, Jackson Powers-Johnson, and Jakobi Meyers in play under very specific circumstances, the Silver and Black are navigating a careful balance. The organization's strategy involves assessing market interest, weighing potential gains, and safeguarding long-term planning, all while keeping an engaged fan base informed and invested. This combination of measured action, roster evaluation, and market savvy makes the Raiders' trade deadline strategy one of the more compelling storylines in the NFL right now. As we continue to unpack the latest on the Las Vegas Raiders, it becomes clear that the trade deadline isn't just about moving pieces. It's a window into how this organization evaluates talent, manages contracts, and positions itself for the future. One of the more fascinating aspects of this period is how the Raiders are approaching players who are both in demand and crucial to the team's identity. Maxx Crosby, for instance, represents not just elite pass rushing ability, but also a leadership presence that defines the defensive front. While teams like the San Francisco 49ers have reportedly expressed interest, the Raiders' insistence on retaining him speaks volumes about their philosophy. Crosby wants to finish his career in Las Vegas, and the team's commitment to him ensures that any potential offer would be astronomically high, effectively taking him off the table. This sets a clear precedent. Certain players are cornerstone pieces whose value cannot be measured purely in draft picks or salary considerations. Michael Mayer is another example of a player whose potential trade value exists in theory, but is constrained in practice. While the Green Bay Packers could theoretically pursue him following Tucker Kraft's season-ending injury, the Raiders appear intent on holding firm unless an offer genuinely aligns with their valuation. Meyer's former first-round pedigree and his current contribution on the field make him a significant asset. Even though other teams may perceive opportunities due to injuries or roster gaps, the Raiders' strategy seems to be one of careful negotiation rather than desperation. Their goal is to maximize both the return on investment and the team's competitive edge, ensuring that any movement does not compromise roster stability. Shifting focus to players like Jackson Powers-Johnson, the situation is more nuanced. JPJ's frustrations with his current role and desire to play center have attracted multiple calls from teams seeking offensive line stability. For the Raiders, this creates a classic dilemma. Trading a player with clear talent and positional value could net them assets in return, but losing interior line depth might disrupt the quarterback's comfort and offensive rhythm. Balancing the internal dynamics of the team against the external market interest is no simple task, and it highlights the sophistication required in managing a roster during this trade window. Decisions like these illustrate that the trade deadline is as much about strategic foresight as it is about immediate transactions. Meanwhile, the status of Malcolm Koonce continues to generate conversation. The Raiders' one-year deal with him and his performance trajectory this season create a situation where a trade could make sense. Koonce's limited impact due to injury challenges his on-field value, yet his potential as a rotational edge rusher still draws attention. If a team offers a mid-to-late round draft pick in exchange, it provides the Raiders with both cap relief and draft capital that can be reinvested strategically. The calculus here involves assessing not only the player's current ability, but also the market's willingness to engage, the team's long-term roster construction, and the potential ripple effects on other defensive positions. This is why even players who seem marginal at first glance can become central to trade strategy, as every decision impacts both short-term performance and long-term planning. Jakobi Meyers presents yet another layer of complexity. His willingness to explore opportunities elsewhere contrasts with the Raiders' valuation and strategic intent. While interest from other teams exists, the organization has set a high bar, requiring day-two draft compensation for his departure. This careful approach underscores a broader philosophy of ensuring that any outgoing player generates meaningful return. Balancing Jakobi's personal desires against the team's competitive needs demonstrates the nuanced interplay between player agency and organizational strategy. The Raiders are acutely aware that meeting the right balance between retention and trade value could influence the team's trajectory for seasons to come. As we consider the Raiders' broader trade strategy, it's clear that their approach is calculated rather than reactionary. The organization is actively weighing potential additions, evaluating trade interest in players like Koonce, JPJ, and Meyers, and firmly holding on to foundational talents like Crosby, Mayer, and Stokes. This dual strategy of selective engagement and protective retention creates a unique dynamic. It signals to the league that the Raiders are open to smart, value-driven moves without compromising the core identity of the team. In essence, they are playing a sophisticated game of roster management, one that blends tactical trades with long-term strategic planning. The Raiders' approach to potential trades also reflects a broader understanding of league dynamics. Observing how other teams have moved players like Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, or Azeez Ojulari informs their own decision-making. By benchmarking potential returns against actual trades in the league, the Raiders can more accurately gauge whether a deal for Koonce, JPJ, or Meyers meets organizational objectives. This analytical approach underscores the complexity of trade negotiations in the modern NFL, where performance metrics, contract structures, and draft capital must all align to justify a move. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what may be the most unexpected move of the offseason, the Las Vegas Raiders have reportedly decided to part ways with quarterback Geno Smith, sending shockwaves through the NFL community. While official sources have remained tight-lipped, insider whispers suggest that the decision was made during a series of private meetings between the front office and coaching staff, leaving fans and analysts alike scrambling to understand the reasoning behind letting go of one of the league's most reliable passers. Smith, who has become a fan favorite with his charismatic presence both on and off the field, has been instrumental in many of the Raiders' recent victories. Supporters are already expressing dismay, flooding social media with tributes and lamenting the loss of a player they consider a star in the making. Rumors abound that the team may be looking to shake up its roster in preparation for a bold new strategy, possibly eyeing younger talent or a high-profile acquisition in the quarterback market. But the suddenness of the announcement has left the fanbase feeling blindsided and questioning the direction of the franchise. Among the chatter, some insiders speculate that salary cap pressures or internal disagreements may have played a part in the shocking departure. Others point to the Raiders' penchant for dramatic moves, recalling past instances where unexpected decisions have left the league buzzing. Meanwhile, opposing teams are reportedly taking notice, weighing the possibility of making a play for a quarterback who has proven his ability to lead and perform under pressure. As the rumor mill continues to churn, one thing is certain. The Raiders' locker room dynamics and upcoming draft strategies are now under intense scrutiny. Will this be the start of a new era in Las Vegas, or a misstep that leaves fans yearning for the familiar leadership of Geno Smith? Only time will tell, but for now, the NFL landscape has been jolted by a move that no one saw coming, and the conversation is only just beginning. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.